Hey there, welcome to this video. My name is Flo with Breathe and Flow, and I'm excited today to share with you controlled articular rotations, in short CARs, which is a full body routine where you're doing those controlled articular rotations for every single joint in the body. This is a routine I've been using, and Brie as well, of course, for the past year, and we do this every single morning. You can also do this routine in addition to the morning, in the evening, or also throughout the day if you just want to loosen up a little bit, connect to the body, and move the joints in their full end range. This is the important keyword. We are moving the joints individually in the end range. So the full range of motion that we currently have, and the CARs routine that I'm sharing with you today helps you to maintain this range of motion and oftentimes even increase the range of motion, because you are all of a sudden trying to move in certain ways that you usually throughout your day would not. This is an amazing routine for any background, for any physical level to do every single day. And it's even something you can recommend to your parents if they're not really into training or working out or being super active. You can at least tell them, hey guys, you should do this stuff at least every single morning or sometime throughout the day, so that they are also moving their joints in their full end range every single day. I don't have to tell you, but most of us are sitting a lot in the car, at the desk, and then you're doing your training still, but the training is also often very specialized. The kind of movement practice we share here on the channel is very general movement, very functional, so it's things that you can do in addition to just any specific training, and actually the body moves and learns from general to specific. So you want to move better in a generic or general way before you get specific. If you're only doing specific training, your body gets just so used to it, to those certain movements and techniques that you're using, but then oftentimes injuries happen because you're not able to move the rest of the body in a very healthy way. You're just too specialized. So if you're always golfing, you're like very good at these kind of movements, but usually you go only on one side and it's always twisting to this side. So it's very specific. But if you add your yoga practice like we teach it here, or your movement practice, you're also doing the other side. You're also doing side bends, and you're moving just in a very generic way all over, so that your specific training will get better. This is the extended version of the controlled articular rotation routine, CARs. We also have a short version where I give zero explanations. I just go through the sequence with you. And so if you already watched this video a couple of times, which I recommend you do first, I recommend you do this class today, this video, several times to really get familiar with the movements, what to do, what not to do, what to focus on. And then once you have done this, you can go to the short version, which is under 10 minutes, where you can just go through all of it with me together. But today in this class, this will be longer, since this is new to a lot of the people watching. And so there's more need to explain how to actually do everything properly. We will go through every joint in the body except the fingers. We will focus on the cervical spine first, and the rest of the spine, the glenohumeral joint, the shoulder, elbows, wrists. We will do the hips, the knees, the ankles, and a little bit for the toes. So today the invitation to hopefully learn something new and move every single joint independently in the full range of motion. Before we begin, one more thing I want to mention. If we go through those movements, for example with the cervical spine with your neck, and you start to feel some pain on the closing angle, so this is the closing angle, this is the open angle. So oftentimes people get confused about this. If you feel pain in the closing angle, you want to avoid it. Then it's not good. You need to see a professional that can look into what's going on here. Again, we always recommend structural integration, a chiropractor, or any other sports therapist or physical therapist that can look into it. So if you have closing angle pain, you want to see a professional and also not push through the pain. What you do instead is you cut the movement just short or just shy of that pain. So that means you go into it and you're like, this doesn't feel good. You go back off a little bit, go around it, and then you continue moving the neck. Then for example, you come back, you again find the spot, this doesn't feel good. You slowly go around, just cut the movement shy of it, and then you continue. So do not go through the pain. No pain, no gain does not work here. It's not wise to do. So please don't do it. There are 3 different levels to be precise about the controlled articular rotations. What I'm sharing today is level 1. The level 1 means you're doing your best actively with your own strength and creating tension to not move the whole body and to compensate. You're trying your best to isolate only the neck, for example, and only move the neck, and you're not avoiding moving the rest of the body just to make it work. This is of course exaggerated, but if you film yourself, which I highly recommend, which is fun to do, because oftentimes you think I'm just moving the neck, but in fact you're actually moving your whole body. So level 1 CARS is where you actively, with your own strength and tension, do your best to only move the specific joint we're focusing on. Level 2 is where you use something to block the body so that you actually cannot move the rest of the body, to cheat, so to say. And then the level 3 is where you use even more of an active effort. Maybe you're squeezing a really tight ball in front of your chest, and then you do, for example, the neck movements or any other controlled articular rotations. So it's even more intense and very advanced. Today, just level 1, which is wonderful to do, and also you don't need to go to level 2 or level 3 yet. It doesn't mean that you're not mobile or you're not a good person or whatever you're thinking. We have been doing level 1 CARS every single day for over 1 year, and we've seen amazing benefits in our body, in the range of motion, and also the neural connection and control we gained from it to actually move the joints and move the body independently and not interdependently. So we can really isolate the movement, for example, only in the knee with rotation, and we're not moving the hip, we're not moving the ankle. It's very independent. Let's get started with our first CARS, which is for the cervical spine, for the neck. For this one we will stand up, and in fact most of it we will do standing. Like I said, we are doing our best to keep everything stable, stiff and controlled, tight. We call this principle irradiation. So you firm everything in the body, and so that this tension, especially from your abdomen, can support the movement. Because if you, for example, take your fist, this principle of irradiation, and you make a tight fist with your fingers, with your hand, you in the beginning only use your hand and your fingers. Then you make a tighter fist and the forearms start to activate. Then you make an even tighter fist and your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders starts to activate. You make an even tighter fist, maybe your face, your chest, like your toes grip into the ground, so everything starts to work and support this action of making a fist. So this is the principle of irradiation. So you're tightening everything to then later just move your neck or move your arm, for example. This is the basic principle, really important to understand, and it also helps you to then not move anything else in a different way. We have a stance that's about hip width, hip wide. For the cervical spine CARS, you bring both hands onto the shoulders, you keep everything stable, you irradiate, and then we tilt the chin to the chest. You then tilt the head to the back, to the left, and slowly back. Don't move anything else. Over to the right. Slight rotation here in the neck, and then you brush the shin down the collarbone to the chest. Over to the right, brush the shin, lateral flexion to the side, and then extend back to the left and down. Let's do one more, just so you get more of a practice in. And you're moving nice and slow. Don't move anything else. Very good. And relax. CARs are great to do on their own in the morning, throughout the day, in the evening, and are also an integral part of mobility training. So we have other videos you can check up here. We have a whole mobility training playlist, and you see that all the exercises before we go into them with the specific joint strength mobility training, we do CARs for the specific joints. It's a great way to warm up the joint for mobility training. It's great to keep and maintain the range of motion you have, and also to increase it, especially with the neurological changes that come to the nervous system by moving the joint in such a independent way. Next one is for the rest of the spine. Again, cross the arms in front of you. The hands come onto the shoulders. Keep that concept of irradiation in the back of your head. Apply it, especially for this one with the spine. We tend to move the hips a lot. We keep the chin to the chest the whole time, and you keep the breath slow and a little bit more shallow because you're engaging everything. We start to flex the spine forward, so as if you're rolling with the spine forward, and you see there's not much flexion happening. It's just because it's just in the spine. We're not doing a forward fold. So keep the hips as they are. Flex forward with the spine, and then rotate to the left, lateral flex to the left, and slowly go back. Extend to the right, lateral flexion to the side, and slowly with rotation back to center. Reverse it. Again, cut just shy of the pain if you have any, and see a professional. One more round. If you hear some cracking or popping or feel it, it's all good, but again, sharp pain should be avoided. You need to have that looked at. Very good. Release. 2 rounds. Very good. You can relax. I will just show you a little bit what I see a lot when people do this, and that's why I recommend you record yourself, ideally from the front, from the side, from the back, when you do those 3. So you would do 3 rounds, and then for each round you change the angle. What happens a lot is that people go forward and the hips already come back. And then they go to the side, the hips come out to the side, and then they push the hips forward because, yeah, I can backbend like this, they think, but this is not the purpose of it. There's actually not so much movement in the spine if you only isolate the spine. A lot of the forward folds we do comes with the hips. So if you see, the hips are also going back. If you try to fold forward with the hips at the wall, you will be surprised how much of a forward fold you can do if the hips are put in place. So just something for you to keep in mind, that the hips should not go out to the sides. Great. So this is the spine. Now we do the scapula. That's the part that can lift the shoulders up, also move the shoulders forward and back. So in a plank, we're pushing a lot, so it's scapular protraction. We oftentimes, for example in locust, squeeze the shoulder blades together. So this is retraction. And we're trying to make a nice controlled articular rotation here. There's 2 variations here basically. The one that we learned is when you keep the hands close to the outsides of your thighs, or close to your legs. This is one that you can try if the second one that I will share with you is not accessible for you at all. So this is more of a good starting point. But I want you to try out this one where you bring the arm out in front of you, and then you bring the hand out more to the right. So it's more like a V shape, as if you're like with both arms, it would be a nice V. So not straight forward, out to the side. Everything irradiates. Then you bring the shoulder up towards the ear. Don't move anything else. Forward, slowly down, and then back. Pull the shoulder blade back and up. Keep the arm straight the whole time. Back and down, forward and up. One more round. Imagine you have a pencil or a marker sticking out, And imagine the arm is not in the way and you want to make a nice circle with that marker. So pull up, forward, move down, back, and up, back, down, don't move anything else, forward, and up. Alright, relax. Let's do the other side. So this is 2 rounds. In this explanation video for each joint, in the short version we will do only 1 round, and I will also not explain anything actually. That's why it's so quick. So the whole thing should take only 5 minutes. If you do it in the morning, it probably just takes 5 minutes. Now this is probably going to be a 30-minute video because there's so much to explain. But we're here to learn, right? So left arm forward, out to the side, so it's more of a V. Keep this arm close to the body. Now scapular elevation, so the shoulder moves up towards the ear, forward, protraction, down. At the lowest point you start to pull the shoulder blade back, scapular retraction, up. Very good. And back and down, forward and up. One more, forward and down. Make a nice circle. Back and up. The left one is for sure very hard for me. There's a lot less control than on the right side. Down, forward, and up. So maybe you also feel, relax, the difference in the right and left side. So for me, the left side is a little bit less movable and controllable than the right side. The right side is, for me, at least it feels a nice circle. The left side is a little bit more, there's some edges in there, so it's not a smooth circle. There's some areas where I don't have so much control, and this will change over time and improve even further. So I've been doing this for over a year now, and still a lot of neurological change need to happen or will happen as I continue with this. Great. Now we continue with the shoulder, but we target more the glenohumeral joint, so the ball and socket joint. And we basically do like reaching the arm up and over the head, and then back and down. Okay? You bring one hand to the chest. You externally rotate the right arm, which comes from the shoulder. And then you move past the midline towards the front of your body. Keep that external rotation. Don't move anything else. Move the biceps to the ears. At some point you have to internally rotate. You go ahead and do that, and you reach the arm back, keep internally rotating, and bring the back of your hand next to your right hip. Then you lift it back up with maximum internal rotation. Then at some point you have to externally rotate, slowly go up to the ear, past the ear, towards the front, the center of the body. Keep externally rotating, and then out next to your leg again. Let's do one more. Internally rotate. Do your best to not move anything else. Very good. And relax. Let's do the other side. Externally rotate the left shoulder. Stand tall, irradiate, tighten everything. Keep the breath going. You go not just straight forward, but you're going to the right. So past the midline. And then up to the ear, past the ear. Externally rotate. Next to your hip, back up. To the midline, across the midline. And then next to your left hip. One more round. Keep the external rotation. Bring it up to the ear. Past the ear. Internally rotate. And down next to the leg. Next to the hip. Last one, reverse. Very good. Relax, shake it out a little bit. Beautiful job. We will now continue with the elbow. So if you have already a lot of hyperextension in your elbow, I know some of you watching have hyperextension in the elbow, then you can try this out, learn about it, know about it. But personally, I would not recommend you keep moving or keep working towards increasing the range of motion if you're already hyperextending. It's more about then learning to control this hyperextended range that you already have instead of increasing it and creating more. I never had hyperextension in my elbows, but I feel like I did so much of these controlled articular rotations that now my elbows do hyperextend. And so now I will back off a little bit as well and not go anymore, but you see because of this how powerful this is, and it actually works on the joints. Very effective. Okay, so for this one, we keep the elbows in and the palms are facing forward. You keep the part from the shoulder down to the elbow tied to the body, and that part is actually not moving at all. All you're moving is the forearm with external and internal rotation. Keep the elbows in. Now maximum external rotation coming from the elbow downwards through the forearm to the hands, and then you start to bend your arms. Keep externally rotating. Keep the fingers straight as if you're doing a bicep curl. Now you internally rotate, but try your best to make that internal rotation come only from the forearms, and then you're moving down. Keep rotating, fighting for more internal rotation. And then bend the arms again, same way, still internally rotating. Then externally rotate and bring it down. One more round. Lower down, internally rotate. And then bend again. Keep internally rotating more. Externally rotate as much as you can. And as you fight for more external rotation, you bend you straighten the arms. Very good. Relax. So this work can also be very intense. Again, I mentioned this so many times. There's a neurological change happening. And if you are not used to moving the joints so independently and so specialized and focused, then it takes a lot of focus, let's call it, to try to move this part. And you can almost, I always do, but break a sweat because you're focusing so much on, okay, everything tight, only move this part. And it takes a lot of connection from the brain down to the units to move this joint or this part only. So if you're breaking a little sweat here, or you feel a little bit like super focused or a little bit tense, this is because you're probably not used to focusing so much on this one part. It will go away. It's all good. It's part of the practice. Okay, so now we got the elbows. We're moving down the body. We continue with the wrist. In addition to the wrist warm-ups we always teach in our classes, this is a great one to do because you're moving and working the full end range. For that one, you keep the elbows in again. The elbow in on one arm. With the other arm you grab the forearm, so you make sure you're not moving the forearm. You keep the fingers straight and you bring the palm of your hand as close to the forearm as possible. Then you go with a circle to the right and slowly down, over to the left and inward, and then back up. We reverse it, over to the left and down, over to the right, and up. Again, if there's any pain, then just move shy of that pain, avoid it, move around it, one more round. And highly recommend you then see someone that's assessing your functional range. Down, over, and up. Very good. Other side. Left elbow in, grab the forearm, bring the palm as close as you can to the forearm. Keep the fingers in the palms engaged. Over to the left and down. Over to the right and up. Let's reverse it. It doesn't matter how mobile you are there and how much range of motion you have or how it looks. We are all, wherever we are, just working in our individual maximum end range. One more. And also whatever we can currently control, what our body allows us to control. And last one, reverse it to the right and down, to the left and up. Very good. Beautiful job. We're now done with the upper body. We will now continue with the hips, the knees, the ankles, and the toes. Okay? For the hips, I like to stand. There's two versions. One is standing and one is in a tabletop. So when Bree taught her classes on hip mobility, she did the warm-up in the cars for the hips in a tabletop. So you can just check the videos in the mobility training playlist and then follow along there. I will today only show the version standing. To learn the version in tabletop, watch those videos. You grab something, so I like to, when I'm at home, grab a door frame or, I don't know, an open window or something. Something you can grab and hold onto. A wall is not ideal. I recommend something where you can actually grab and hold onto. Keep the arms straight. Then you put the right foot down. We will now target the left hip first. Make a fist with the other hand. Extend the arm out. And then I will show it maybe real quick first. You first lift the heel up. You start to then flex the foot. Then you externally rotate. You go past the midline. You lift the thigh up as high as you can towards the chest. Then you move it out to the side. At some point, you have to internally rotate the thigh. And you then move back. But keep lifting the thigh up. And then you go down. The feet next to another. Again, bend the foot about 90, the leg about 90 degrees. Move it back and up. Out to the side with internal rotation. At some point you have to externally rotate. Past the midline. And down. Now join me for one round. Try your best to not move anything else. Make sure you have stretchy pants or something on that's not in your way. Back and up. Internally rotate. Bring the feet next to another, but the left foot stays lifted. Bend the leg. Bring it back. Core is engaged. Out with internal rotation. Slowly up to the chest. Externally rotate. And down. Relax. This one is really intense for me too. Although I've been working on this for a while, the hips are always, because I'm still also sitting a lot on the computer, editing all the videos for you, sequencing, all the things. I'm still sitting quite a bit. And so this is for sure a really good one. Let's do the other side so you can see it also from the back now. I'll just switch sides. Arm is straight, foot is down. We do the right hip. Make a fist with the right hand. Let's do 1 or 2 rounds if you want to. Up to you. I will do 2 and you can join me for however many you want. So lift the heel, flex the foot, externally rotate, bring the knee past the midline, bring it up the thigh towards the chest as high as you can, then out to the side. At some point you have to internally rotate. Try to not move anything else. And then down. Keep the foot lifted, bend it again, bend the leg, bring it back, out, internal rotation, up, externally rotate, and down. One more round. Out to the side. Now internally rotate. Bring it down. Bend the leg, bring it back and up. Internally rotate out to the side. Externally, slowly up the thigh to the chest. More external rotation. And down. Whew, good job. These are tough, especially 2 rounds. Imagine you doing a few more of those. It's like a real hip training. You might even feel sore in the muscles around it, especially if you're new to it. I will sit on a pillow now, or a towel, blanket. You can do the same. We are now moving down to the ground. Seated. You can also sit on a chair or on a bench. So if you recommend this to your grandparents or to your parents and they maybe cannot sit on the floor like this or not comfortable, then sit on a chair, a bench, whatever you can. We'll now do the knees. So you bend one leg a lot. If you are on a chair, you would just keep it on the ground and you would just do it like that. But since we're seated on the floor, bend one leg. And then hug the left leg into the chest. Grab your biceps with that free hand grab above the knee. Now what we're doing is we're blocking the thigh, the femur, so that the tibia only can move, the shin. And that mostly rotation, flexion, internal rotation, and extension. So we're doing all 4 movements of the knee in its end range. The knee is sensitive for many people, so if you have sensitivity there or any pain, then again, please cut the movement just shy of the pain, avoid the area, and then see a professional, and then do your next steps. This is not something we can give you advice on in the comments. So if you say, I have knee pain when I'm doing this, we unfortunately cannot help you. We cannot see your body. We're not certified in like special investigations of your individual joint problems, so please see a professional. We're here, we come into flexion of the knee first. Keep the foot also flexed. Now externally rotate the shin, then start to straighten the leg to whatever degree. Internally rotate, and then down. So you're focusing on the shin. Externally rotate, straighten the leg, more external rotation, internally rotate, and down. Let's do one more. Externally rotate, up, internally rotate, down. Let's stay there. With the internal rotation, you go up, externally rotate, and down. So we're now reversing it. Internally rotate, up, externally rotate, and down. Let's do one more. So if you don't see any movement here in your shin, that's totally fine. Don't compare your shin, your knee to mine. We are all just working in the end range. It doesn't matter how much you have there right now, how it looks, how deep you can go. We're all just working the end range. Very good. Beautiful. Release. Actually, let's stay. And let's continue with the ankle while we're already on this leg. So it's the same grip, but you slide the right hand from the knee down to the shin. You keep now blocking the thigh and the shin, the femur and the tibia, and we're now moving only the ankle. Okay, we're making some nice controlled articular rotations with the ankle. We start to flex the foot, dorsiflex, then do an internal rotation, so to the right, down, start to plantar flex the foot, point the toes, over to the left and up. Again, over to the right and down, over and up. Reverse it, left, point and down, over, up, flex. Left, point, down, over, up, and flex. Very good. So now we got the ankle done and the knee. Very good. Extend both legs out. Maybe shake them out. Let's do the other side. Bend the bottom leg, the left leg. Hug the right thigh in. Grab the biceps, grab the knee. And now we move again only the shin. So try to focus only on that movement. The ankle will move as well because it's connected, but we're focusing on the shin. Externally rotate, straighten the right leg. Internally rotate and down. externally rotate, straighten, internally rotate, down. One more, externally rotate, straighten, internally rotate, down, stay there, internally rotate, straighten, externally rotate, down. Internally rotate, straighten, externally rotate, down. And relax. I think I did one extra one for the knee in the first round, but it's all good. In my own practice, I do 2 or 3 for the ankle and for the ankle and for the knee. For all the other ones, I do usually only 1 round or 1 full round. Let's do the ankle. So you block the shin now. Flex the foot, dorsiflex, externally rotate to the right, down, to the left, and up. To the right, down, to the left, up. Reverse it, left, down, over and up. Left, down, over and up. Very good. Now relax, straighten your legs. We now have only 2 more things to do. One is for the patella, the kneecap, and then the toes. And then we're done with this thorough explanation. Alright, let's start with the left knee since we did this side first. And you just feel for the kneecap and you start to move it left and right. This might be a little bit weird in the beginning, maybe a little bit gross. At least it was for me. I was pretty grossed out by moving my kneecap like this in the beginning when I first learned it. But you get used to it, so it's all good. Left and right, you move it from like a diagonal angle, forward and back, and then the other diagonal. And then you do forward and back. And then you maybe make some circles. You move it in a circle around. Something like that. So just so that there's some movement happening there as well. That keeps the knee safe and also gives you more strength in your thighs, especially if you have healthy kneecaps and patella. Because it attaches to below the kneecap. And so by keeping that mobile, you can activate the thighs more. Let's do the other side. Left and right, just move it around. And then you start to move in a diagonal way. So it's almost like a little massage for it. Super quick, but really good to do. Imagine if you shared this with someone that has actually some restrictions in their joints or joint problems or mobility problems. Of course, they should first see a professional that can check them out if they have some sharp pain or some serious pain, but then imagine how they can recover with this whole full body routine and maybe fix the shoulder finally and feel better, or fix the knees, the ankles, whatever it is. So Bree and I, we both believe that this is very powerful and very valuable for a lot of people. In fact, for everyone. We recommend this for everyone because very low impact. You only use your own body. You don't use any weight, any gravity. It's just amazing. The next one is, and the last one, for the toes. So we come either into a standing position. This is the first progression you can do. And then you do toe movements, as I will show you in a moment from here. The second or the first progression is bending the legs a little bit and resting your hands above the knees. And you can move the toes here. The most progressed version is in a full squat. I will do a full squat, but either you cannot do a full squat, then don't even try to be there, because especially if your heels are lifted, you cannot do this exercise. So then you would either go standing fully or in this half standing position. But if you have a full squat and you want to do this, then go for it. But maybe you notice now, if you want to lift both big toes up, that nothing is moving. And so then you would also just come up to a half standing position. So now come to a squat or whatever position you want to take, standing or half standing. And we will focus on the 3 corners of the foot. The first knuckle of the big toe, or that knuckle here, the knuckle, if it's called knuckle on the foot, I'm actually not sure. Where the pinky toe starts, and then also the heel. Those 3 points, keep them on the ground the whole time. We now keep all the other 4 toes on the ground as well, and only lift the big toes up. And then lower. Lift, lower. Lift the big toes, lower. Lift, lower, lift, and lower. Very good. Now keep the big toes on the ground, lift the other 4 toes up, and lower. Lift, lower. Lift, lower. Lift, lower. 2 more. Last one. Very good. Now lift all the toes up, lower only the big toes, and lift. Lower, lift, lower, lift. 2, 1. Very good. Keep the big toes now lifted, lower the other 4 toes, assuming you have all 10 toes, but let's lower the other toes down that are not the big toes. Lower, lift, lower, lift. 3, 2, 1, and lift the toes back up. Now the last one, we try to spread the toes apart, all the toes you have, and then from the outside we go inwards and set them down. So the pinky toes go down first, and then the last one is the big toe. So try to spread, set the pinky toes down, and then go inwards. Lift up and spread, and down. Lift up, spread, and down. 2 more. Okay, 1 more, because it's so nice. Very good. And relax. Sit down, stand up, whatever you need to do. So this is the full routine of controlled articular rotations. CARS, we call it the CARS routine, or I do my CARS. That's usually how we do it. When I talk to Bree, hey, what are you doing now? I'm doing my CARS now. So that means we go through the whole body, through every joint. Wonderful to do in the morning, throughout the day, in the evening. Really any time of the day is perfect. If you're sitting a lot, for example, it's nice to just get up and do the cervical spine one for the neck, for the spine, the rest of the spine, the hips especially, super helpful. And what we like to use is called habit stacking. So especially if you're having a new thing that you want to make a habit out of and integrate into your day as a really solid part, it makes it easier to do that one thing in addition to an existing habit. So for example, every morning you make a cup of coffee or tea. And so then you can, for example, use habit stacking because your existing habit is already to make a coffee or a tea. You can say, okay, I will have still a coffee and a tea, but I will reward myself to that coffee or that tea after I did my CARS. So that means you have to do the CARS first, and then you have the tea or the coffee that you're doing anyway. This is a nice approach. This is at least how we, for example, do it. Before I have my coffee or tea in the morning, I just have some water after getting up, and then I do my CARS, full body while the water is boiling and all of it. And then after I'm done with that, I also do other things in addition, so it takes a bit longer. But then I reward myself or use habit stacking to then have the coffee. Something you can try out, see how it goes. If you did this video now a few times and you really know the ins and outs, how to do it, what not to do, irradiation, and kind of the order of the sequence of the CARS, then you can go to the short version of this video, which is under 10 minutes, super quick, and it just is a quick follow along, 1 round for each joint. Support this channel by liking the video and subscribing to it. At least consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow. Peace.